Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Juan the Yarn Addict and I'd like to welcome you to another session of WIP'n It with Juan. Whether you're new here or you're returning back to the channel, thank you so much for checking out today's video. In these sessions, I sit back, I work on my whips while I talk to you about all the things. I become your crochet buddy for about 45 minutes to an hour, so if this is of interest to you, please sit back and enjoy the video. Before we get started, please remember to hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and then of course share the video. I would definitely appreciate the support. So the question of the hour for this session of WIP'n It with Juan is, what is on the hook? And as per usual, I have several projects here. Ultimately, I will choose one, but first I have to show you what I have here on the desk. So first, I have my Nana June's Blessing Blanket, all in bright, fun colors. This here is Safety Yellow. This is Diva Pink. And I'm going to run this together with Sapphire Blue and Green Gecko. So lots of fun colors here. So much fun. And I'm working this blanket up with my 6mm US letter J prim hook. It's right here. Let me show you. If you haven't seen this before, this here is a prim hook, 6mm US letter J. The next project I have here is my offset V-stitch in the round. Super nice. And I am also working this up with the same hook, 6mm US letter J. And this is the Granny Square all-in-one, and the colorway is called Lily Pad. So we have the creams, the greens, and the blues. Super nice. The next project I have here is another Nana June's Blessing Blanket, done 2-bit style. So I'm changing colors every 2 rounds. Super nice. And I am scrap busting with this blanket here. So the goal here is to change colors every 2 rounds without repeating any of the colors. And the goal here is to get it out to 40 inches by 40 inches. The same for this one right here, 40 inches by 40 inches. Okay. The next one here is one I've shown several times. This here is my corner to corner vintage spectrum blanket. And I'm using all of my leftover discontinued vintage variegated yarns. And I'm creating a corner to corner blanket with this. It's growing slowly but surely. It is growing. So that's also on the hook. Again, 6mm US letter J prim hook. It's my go-to hook. However, I do have a project here that is being worked up with a 7mm prim hook, which is this one right here, one size larger, and it's this one. All variegated yarns. This is my offset V-stitch in the round blanket. Very nice. I have to tell you, it works up super fast, and the yarn here is just a hodgepodge of variegated yarn. Mostly vintage, discontinued variegated yarn, but I do have current variegated yarns peppered in here. And this is what the cake looks like. So recently, I believe it was last week, or maybe a week and a half ago, I did a 3-hour live where I sat right here with my caker and all the things, and I made tons of these cakes. And so I'm using them up for blankets. Now, originally I thought about using this yarn to make a Boggy Creek blanket, but I love this so much that I may actually keep this. If you've been following me, you know I love variegated yarn, and I really like how this is working up. I may keep this for me. As if I need another blanket in the house, but I just can't help myself. I really do enjoy working with this, and I think this is going to be the project that I work on for this session of WIP'n It with Juan. Yes, this is the one. I love it so much. So I just had the hook. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this blanket right here so far is literally one cake. So just one of these got me this far. And hopefully, maybe 4 cakes will get me to a full size. This goes a long way because it's literally just a V-stitch. And, you know, I think a granny stitch, except the middle stitch is missing. Instead of that middle stitch, it's a chain. And so that extra yarn just, it adds up. And it goes a lot further. That's kind of how I feel about it, but I don't know. Mind over matter, I guess. So the yarn that I'm currently on here, well, I'm about to change out. This is a colorway that is available on Yarnspirations. So this is called Artist Print. Super, super nice. I have a bunch of it up here, but I decided to put it in here because I found some just leftover cakes in a box while I was cleaning it. I said, you know, I don't want this to sit here. Why not put it to good use? So, yeah. Now this cake here that I'm about to put on the blanket, we're going to a solid. So this particular cake has solids in it, and I'm not sure if I want solid yarn in this project because this entire blanket is all variegated yarn. So what I may do is sit here and just wind up the solids and only use the variegated yarn. Just because I want that consistency, I would like very much to just keep this all variegated, because I think this would stick out like a sore thumb if the entire section of the beginning was all variegated yarn and then we have this splotch of a solid. Now, if it was peppered in from the very beginning and then I came across it later on, well, then that makes sense. I would definitely keep it. But in this particular instance, I don't think I'm going to keep the solid in with this. So I do have several cakes out there in the squirrel's nest with variegated yarn, but I think literally every cake out there has a mix of solid in the cake, which, I mean, it's okay, but because of the fact that I started this one with all vintage variegated, well, not vintage, but variegated, I'm just going to pull this out of the cake. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I do not tie like a permanent knot on my cakes here, so that if I decide to pull a color out, I can very easily do that and not have to worry about knots. So I guess I'll set that there. So when it comes to tying my knots onto my project here, since I've ultimately decided this is for the house, I'm actually just going to do like a good old-fashioned knot like that, and I'll do it a second time. And I'll leave the tail on as it is and just sew in the tails later on. So, super, super nice. Okay, so let's get started here. Now, I know traditionally a 7mm hook for a 4-weight yarn is kind of on the thick side. It's not really recommended to use such a thick crochet hook for a 4-weight yarn. But the reason why I decided to do that is because these yarns have different thicknesses. When you work with a scrap cake, the consistency changes, you know, and in my experience, the 4-weight yarns that I've caked up here are on the thicker side of the 4-weight. And since I know that, I said, you know what, let me not stick with the 6, let's go to the 7. So that way there's some drape there. So I'm completely okay with the fact that we have some drape. It's nice. I don't mind it. Now, every project can't be that way, you know. Well, for me anyway. I do like that thick, full feeling of a blanket, so. But variety is key, I feel. Now, this particular colorway here, I don't remember, actually, is this Holly Ivy? It may be Holly Ivy, but I have different lots of the Holly Ivy where the Ivy colorway is different. On some of my skeins, that the red and the green are lighter and darker for some reason. I'm not sure what that's about, but it is a vintage yarn, so maybe they did things a little differently back then. I'm not exactly sure. So this one here, I think it's going to be for the house. I would probably just use it as a throw somewhere. And to me, it looks like a painting or just like this piece of art. From afar, you can kind of see where the color breaks are, but up close, you don't really see it. It's just a lot of colors all in one place. Yes, someone said it looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. I showed this on a live this morning, and I would have to agree. It's just very interesting to see all of these colors in one spot, you know? Now, I may project top if it turns out to be where we have a lot of solid in here. I don't think there's a lot of solid. There may be one or two bits of solids. We may work this out, let's see. The fun thing about working on WIPs is you work on them, and then when you get tired of it, you just put it down and pick up another one. You know, that's how we keep our Crojo going. And it's kind of the reason why I have so many WIPs on the hook, apart from the fact that, like, I just like to be able to talk about several different things in one conversation. So, like, if I'm referencing my Nana June's Blessing blanket, I can talk about the different blankets that I've done instead of just talking about that one that I did. I have several, but they're all done differently. Like, the one here is in bright colors, and then I have a 2-bit over here, and then I recently did one with Line Brand Gradients in purple, and I just worked the cake from the inside out and then the outside in. And so just being able to talk about the different kinds of Nana June blankets that I've done can only happen when I have multiple blankets going, you know? So because of the fact that these are donation blankets, and the collection I think ends either December 31st or January 15th. I'm not exactly sure of the exact date, but I want to make sure that everything that I have on the hook gets done and washed and packed and shipped in time. I tend to procrastinate at times when it comes to things like that. Oh, I have time. Oh, I have time. But then, you know, 24 hours before the deadline, I'm rushing around telling myself, you know, Juan, had you just done this earlier, you wouldn't be rushing around, you know? So I want to make sure that I hit my goal, have everything washed, folded, shipped, and packed, and all the things before the deadline. So my goal is to have 50 blankets, 50 donation blankets. Now, mind you, I already have 20 something completed. I decided to reset the clock. So the ones that were done previously have not been shipped out yet. I'm actually waiting until I hit my goal, I think. I'm not sure about the logistics behind this because holiday shipping is right around the corner and those prices are going to go up. So I may have to ship out what I have as soon as possible and, you know, just have less to ship out with holiday shipping fees or charges. So I don't know what happened here. It's the same yarn. Hold on. Let me just trim that tail there. It may have broken, or I'm not sure, but there we go. Just trim that tail and keep it moving. Super, super nice. Now, some of the yarn that I have here stood the test of time in terms of temperature. Now, I don't have a lot of this kind of yarn, but some of the yarn has been affected by extreme heat. So with acrylics, you know, the storage temperatures have to remain within a certain window. If acrylic yarn is stored in severe heat, the fiber tends to break down, and in time you start to feel it. You know, I had a cake. I wish I would have kept it. It was very brittle. Like every few feet, it would just break apart. I never experienced that before, but I did some research and found out that this yarn in time with, you know, with these yarns being exposed to extreme heat over periods of time, it has a tendency to break down. And I did not know that. And so now I know what it feels like to have yarn in my hands that has been exposed to extreme heat for long periods of time. It's very brittle, very dry, and when you go to pull it, it just breaks, you know. And I had it on the caker, and I thought it was me. I thought maybe my tension was too rough or too tough, too hard, I don't know. But it wouldn't stay on the cake, so I had to unwind it, take it off, and unfortunately, I didn't even keep it for amigurumi stuffing. I had to toss it because it was just in such a disarray. But yeah, it's what happens. And you know, I thought about storing my yarn. I have excess yarn that I was thinking about putting into like a different storage unit, like an outdoor storage unit. But because of experiencing what I did with that yarn, I'm like, you know what? I have to be very mindful of the temperature. So I'm not sure if the skeins tell you what the storage temperatures are, but I do know that it is online. It does tell you online what the storage window is for acrylic yarn, and I highly recommend paying attention to that. So I don't know about extreme cold. I don't think it affects the yarn in that way. I think it's the heat. Acrylic yarn really reacts to heat. And so, yeah, I just thought that was very interesting to experience and to share. So just be mindful of storing your yarn in the appropriate temperatures if you can help it. Now, if it's a one-off where, you know, you're in a situation where you have to store your yarn, you know, maybe in the attic or for whatever reason, but it's not an extended period of time, I can completely understand that. I don't think it's going to break down after one short exposure of it, but like in time, you know, I think that the yarn that I experienced broke down the way that it did because it was many years of being exposed to extreme heat. At least that's what I think. And of course, I may be completely wrong. I'm completely okay with that, you know. But how awesome would it be that I get a blanket out of just 2 of these cakes? And I have to tell you that you get about 325 yards. 325 yards? Yeah. 325 to 350 with these cakes. And I'm going to verify that. I went ahead and ordered a counter, like a yardage counter, because I'm very curious to know, like, what kind of footage are we getting out of these cakes? Excuse the airplane. I try not to record during certain times of the day because of airspace. And yeah, we get planes and all the things flying overhead. Some days are better than others, but today happens to be a holiday. It is Labor Day for us here in the States, and I'm not aware of what the schedules are on holidays. So, yeah, I really like the way this is working up. Super, super nice. So I think just to keep things interesting, I may hop on over to that bright color Nana June's blanket. I mean, I just love working with all the projects. If I had another set of hands, I'd be working both of them at the same time. I just love crocheting. Like, I spend so many hours crocheting, and for no other reason other than just being excited to be able to work with the different colors and the different yarns. And I'm just very curious, how many of you guys out there crochet for hours at a time? I mean, I'm not sure if everyone does it, but I know I do. Like, every chance I get, I crochet. So like, when I wake up in the morning, I try to wake up an extra 30 minutes to an hour earlier so that I can crochet a little bit before I start my day. And then I bring my crochet literally everywhere. I have a WIP in the car, so if I'm in traffic and traffic's not moving, I'll pull the WIP out and I'll work on that. Or if I just have some downtime throughout the day, I'll just work on a random WIP. And then of course, when I'm in the studio, I crochet. When I'm in the squirrel's nest, I crochet. And then, you know, before bed, I crochet. I crochet every chance I get. And people are like, how are you able to get these projects done so fast, Juan? It's literally because I crochet every chance I get. And it's very habitual. It's a habit that I just can't seem to break. And I don't know what a day without crochet is like. I don't know what it's like. It's just not normal for me. I think, actually, I can't remember a day where I did not pick up the hook for at least 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't remember a day. Every day I'm working on something, and it could be something small like a motif, like a granny square. It could be something extensive like Sophie's Universe. It could be something like this. Every chance I get, I crochet. For some reason, and I can't really explain it, maybe one of you guys can, crocheting for me brings me balance. It calms me down, it relaxes me, it allows me to just spend time with my thoughts, to just really process my day. It allows me to process conversations I've had with people. It allows me to plan. Like, I spend a lot of time thinking while I crochet. I mean, what we're doing here is, it can be very monotonous, especially if you're making a blanket and you're just doing the same stitch or the same stitch sequence. You tend to let your mind wander. And for me, I spend a lot of time processing information. So, and I like that, because a lot of times, if if you talk without thinking first, you're liable to say things that you haven't really processed, and maybe you should have spent more time thinking things through. So crochet for me allows me that chance to just really process lots of things. Also, I use crochet, like time to crochet like this. I use this time to plan different projects. I think of designs, I think of pattern sequences, I think of I think of different ways to like combine stitches to come up with different patterns and things. And if something really pops off in my head, I'll stop working on the WIP that I have in front of me, and I'll pick up new yarn and I will crochet what I have in my head. And sometimes it really does work, but most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't work, but it's the thought process that just keeps it going, right? It's part of the design process. Many, many failures. Every once in a while you have a win, and you got to really celebrate those wins. Let me make sure I have enough chains here. 1, 2, 3. Yep, I missed a chain. So, yeah. Celebrate the wins, and then the failures, just embrace them and use them as stepping stones, as learning opportunities to just do better. So, yeah. This yarn here, I remember now, this was on the verge of being one of those yarns that just break apart. And I spoke about it earlier because this was the colorway of the yarn that broke apart. And it came together. I remember this. This colorway here, I had several of these cakes. And it came to me. I can't remember where or who or whatever, but I know that it came to me in a package. And one of the cakes was really, really damaged. And I said, you know what, let me see if I can save this. There was no saving. But this yarn here was on the verge, and I said, let me just keep it on here. It's okay. I mean, it's not breaking apart, but I feel like had it been left in the heat for maybe another summer, I'd probably be tossing it. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to work this up to the corner, I think, and then hop on over to Nana June's blanket. I'm really excited about getting these Boggy Creek blankets done, because last year with my mom's help, we were able to hit our goal. This year I'm doing it alone, and I'm really, really motivated to see this to the finish line. I'm really hoping to get done these blankets early. So the average that I need to put out to be done in time is 3 blankets. So if I do more than 3 each week, it adds up, and then I'll be done sooner. So far, what I have completed and I've shown on the podcast, the first week I had 4, the second week I had 5. So in 2 weeks I made 9 blankets. And so this is week 3. And fingers crossed, maybe I can do 5, maybe I can do 4. I'm going to just push as hard as I can every single week in the hopes that I'm able to get out as many as I can. And you know what? I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't hit the goal. I'm just going to try my best, because I have to remember, I came into this whole thing where I'm resetting the clock. Like, I already had 20 something blankets completed. So for sure, if I didn't reset the clock, I would have hit my goal with 50 blankets, but I reset the clock. So just a little bit of a challenge for me. One that I'm completely okay with. So yeah, this stitch works up super, super fast. A double, a chain 1, a double, and then go to the other space. And I'm literally putting V-stitches in between the V-stitches, not inside the V-stitches, but next to them. So think about the way you would make a granny square blanket. So instead of 3 double crochets as your stitch, it's a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. That's it. I'm basically making a granny square without the middle stitch. And I have to tell you, taking one of those double crochets out and replacing it with a chain, it just speeds the process up so much. And it saves on your yarn. It doesn't really bog down your blanket and make it heavy. It's a lighter version of the granny square blanket. And, you know, depending on your hook choice and your yarn choice, it may not be as holy as you think. So I've done several of these blankets so far, and I do like how they work up. Super, super nice. So I'm at the corner. Let me just get around the corner at least. Okay. So I'm going to fold this up, and I'm going to hop on over to my Nana Junes. I started this probably 20 minutes before I pressed the record button. These blankets work up super fast as well. The only stitch that slows me down is the double crochet cross. It's the only one that slows me down, and it's literally just because you're wrapping around the stitches. But 2 rounds out of the 6, that's not bad at all. And the stitch is not hard. It's literally placing a double crochet on one side of the cross and then crossing over by coming back. And again, like I said earlier, I do have a tutorial on my channel for this. Also, I have a free written pattern on my Ravelry if you're interested. Feel free to download that. And while you're there, I do have a handful of other free patterns for you to download if you're interested. Lots of fun. And I do that just because, why not? You know, they're very simple, easy, fast, fun patterns. So why not make them accessible for absolutely free for you guys? So feel free to check that out. Now, I traditionally do not work with pink, like by choice. Okay, I really don't care for the color. However, this shade right here is called Diva Pink, and it's more of a highlighter red, in my opinion, than pink. And I have to tell you, barring its name, I mean, I really like this colorway. It's so strange. And I do like a neon pink. I just don't like the dusty pinks, the country rose pinks. I don't really care for those colors. And I think I know why it's so difficult for me to work with those colorways. It's just because I find it very difficult to find yarns to pair with it. It's just a color that I don't really associate many colors with. You know, when you think of a dusty rosy brown, like that dark muted brown, or brown, pink. When you think of like rosy pink, I think brown. That's where the association was coming in at. Like pink and brown. I can't really pair too many colors with that shade of pink. However, if it's like a Barbie pink or if it's like a neon pink, it opens up options because you can put other neon colors with it. You can go with a white or a black, the choices are definitely there. The other reason why I'm not into the pink, if you've been following me, you kind of know this, but I'm going to share it anyway. So I am one of 11, and I have nothing but sisters. And growing up, it was all about pink. Pink this, pink that, pink everything, pink, 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 all the pinks. And I just had it in my face so much that it was just like, okay, I can't. I can't. Now, like I said, there are shades of pink that I can deal with, and that would be like the neon pinks, it would be like the Barbie pink and all the things. So, yes, thanks to the sisters, they've turned me off from the color. But in terms of crochet, if a particular design calls for the colorway, I will work with it. Again, as long as the color associations are there and I'm not left to choose the colors, I'm okay with it. Like, I will work with whatever pink a design calls for, as long as they're choosing all of the other complementary colors, because I completely tune out when it comes to that. And yeah, and I've tried many times to just re-engage with that color or those hues of pink. But every time I do, shortly thereafter, I'm like, I need to find another color because I am losing my Crojo. I'm just no longer interested. And it should never be that way. You know, crochet, knitting, the fiber arts should be fun. You know, that's kind of why we do it. It's our escape. It allows us to just enjoy ourselves. For me, for many years, it was my outlet. You know, I spent a lot of time just sitting here, crocheting, processing, thinking, and allowing myself the space to just be able to relax. And if you're going to do that, at least do it with colors you enjoyed looking at, because you have to look at it. You have to look at the color. You have to like what you're looking at, you know? And it's funny because, you know, in my journey, I've encountered people that have just these, wow. I mean, people would come to me and be like, Juan, I just do not like purple. I don't like any shade of purple. I think purple is the worst color there is known to man, and I don't know why you like it. You know, I've literally had people say that to me. And, you know, the same with my mom's favorite color, which is blue. She loves all the shades of blue. And I personally know people who have a severe distaste for the color blue. And I'm like, our sky is blue, the water is blue, and you don't like the color? I mean, yeah. It's just different strokes for different folks is what I say, you know? Different strokes for different folks. And I just wish that I could be able to say, you know, those dusty shades of pink, they're not so bad. I wish I could say that with a straight face. I can't. Anyway, and I say this all in good fun, you know? Again, fiber arts, yarn, colors, all the things, it's all in good fun. You know, it's something we just do. Now, I was asked, is there any other colorways that you don't really care for other than pink? And the answer to that is yes, believe it or not. There are other colorways that I really don't care for. It just never came up in conversation. So, yeah, pink is not the only color that I do not care for. But, you know, since the conversation centered around pink all the time, we never really got to it. So I will tell you, there is a shade that I keep on my wall that I don't really care for. And I hide it behind Paco Taco Miss Morocco, believe it or not. And let me see if I can pull it out. Hold on. Nope, that's not it. Actually, it's behind this one. Yep. Hold on. It's that color right there. Can you see it? No. I don't care for this color. It's called curry. I don't really care for that color. Oddly enough, I will work with it. Again, it's color associations, you know? When I think curry, I think, okay, well, what colors can I pair with this, right? And I'm like, okay, mustard yellow, olive green, and I want to say like a rust. Yeah, like a rust color. I used to like this color so much, but I used it so much that now I don't care for it. Have you guys ever experienced that? I know for me, like, when you overuse a color, when you use the same color all the time for all the things, you get tired of it, you get bored of it, and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I had enough of that color. That's how I feel about curry. It's not deep-seated, it's not rooted from the past. This was literally because I love all things vintage, and instead of me searching out vintage yarns, I'm like, let me create projects with these colors. So like avocado green and curry and mustard and all of those vintagey colors, I had a tendency to overuse those colors. I use them a lot all the time. And now, I mean, you don't really see me using those colors because I've used them so much. So instead of going to those colors, I'm literally looking for the actual yarns from yesteryears and just using those. And yeah. So anyway, to my point, pink is not the only color that I don't care for. Avocado green is a close third. And it's, again, because I overused it. So anyway. This whole double crochet cross is, like I said, it's not a difficult stitch, it's time consuming, and I have to watch what I'm doing. When it comes to the double crochets, like twins in a stitch, or like a shell or a granny stitch, I can do those without even looking. I can just feel my way around the stitches. But yeah, unfortunately, with this particular stitch, I really have to pay attention. Not that that's a bad thing. We should be paying attention to our stitches, but when you're making a blanket and you're doing lots of stitches in a row, it becomes autopilot, you know? And that's how you get a lot of your thinking done. Autopilot projects. Ones where you're not counting. And believe you me, I've had tons and tons of projects where I had to sit there and count. So I have a vintage ripple blanket on the hook, and I've shown it, and I have to count up, I have to count down. Count up, count down. And 400 stitches across. I was asked, Juan, why did you make that blanket so big? And I figured, you know, well, my answer to that question was, well, because I've never made one that big. You know, it's something new to me, and I mean, all things considered, I'm doing tons and tons of these smaller blankets. Why not have some larger blankets on the hook, you know? Since it is my very first passion in crochet, blankets. I mean, ever since I was 15 years old, blankets, 1994. So that's my number one passion. And I think for a lot of us, that's kind of where it started in crochet. Like, you learn your stitches and then you learn how to make a blanket. I mean, at least that's how it was for me. And my aunt and my grandmother, we weren't about wearables at all. It wasn't until recently that I, you know, dove into the world of wearables in crochet the last few years. And I have to tell you, what an experience. You know, I have several wearables completed, and I really do like it. You know, I'm in a place now where I'm exploring different fiber types. with wearables. So the journey continues, even after 31 years of crocheting. 31 years later, we still experience and explore and have fun. There's just so much out there for us in fiber arts, because just when you think you've done it all, there's something else that we learn. There's a new technique, there's a new way, there's just a new sequence. It really opens doors in so many different ways. So, always something to learn. It's not going too bad. I'm almost finished the round. And this is the second round of the double crochet cross, which is super, super nice, which means I can go right into the twins in a stitch. So it's 2 double crochets in each space, which is really, really nice. So I'm curious to know, before I ask my question, I got to say that I've really been building up my Stitch Academy. So the purpose of my Stitch Academy is literally for brand new crocheters who want a point of reference. Also, it's for experienced crocheters who just need a little refresher. Those videos are very short, sweet, to the point. I purposely made them short so that we're not there all day doing this intense study of the stitch. I mean, if you know your basic stitches, you're going to know how to yarn over, how to draw a loop, and all the things. So be sure to check that out. So I'm really beefing that up. With me saying that, I'm very curious to know, are there stitches that you are interested in learning? And if so, put it in the comments. Because I'm building my Stitch Academy not only from a list that I have, I'm also using a secondary list from you guys. So like a user requested list and then my list. So if you could, maybe sound off in the comments. Maybe there's a particular stitch that you would like to see how I do it. I would absolutely love to show you. And yeah, I don't mind doing it. And again, my videos for those stitches are not going to be long at all. I literally just do little swatch samples of the stitches just to show you the cadence of it, and then I let you have your way with it. You know, there are several that I am working on in the background here. My goal is to just release a couple a week. Now, when I first started reworking my Stitch Academy, I put out a bunch back to back in a row to really just get the momentum going, and I want to continue that. So with me saying that, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that if ever there's a stitch that you don't see in my Stitch Academy, which is a playlist on my channel, if you don't see a stitch there, just put a message in this video or shoot me an email at JuanTheYarnAddict@gmail.com, and I'll put it on my list of stitches to be worked. And yeah, because it's not only going to help me, it's going to help us and any potential new crocheters that really want to learn how to do that stitch. And if they're able to see all the stitches in one place, I mean, why not? So if you could, that would be amazing. If not, that's okay too. I mean, again, I do have some lists going on here, so it's perfectly okay. So I think what I'm going to do is finish this round. Let me see. Yep. And where are we at here? Yep. I'm going to finish this round and then I'm going to call it for this session of WIP'n It with Juan. But yeah, feel free to tell me all the things. Tell me how your day is going. What are you working on? I didn't get a chance to ask that earlier. And I have to tell you, if you made it all the way to the end here, which a lot of you guys do, because I did learn recently that some of you guys put me on for background noise, which I don't mind. I do like that. And so if you have made it to the end, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I only ask, above all, that you just watch my content, you know? That's all I could ask for. So if you do that, that's absolutely amazing. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate it and all that. So yeah, I'll continue this on at another time. All right. So That is all from me for now for this session of WIP'n It with Juan. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to do all the things. Hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. After all, if you made it all the way to the end, maybe you do like this. Then, of course, share the video. I would definitely appreciate the support. So that is all. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.